mechanic at which you're creating unique IDs, why did it just reach that threshold on January 27th? Of all of the days, why would it reach it on January 27th? Because again, that means you ran out of space in 2020 and it took a volatile day in 2021 to realize this, and it was consumed right here. Or because then over here, so this is open. Fuck. Because then over here, this is your open. You have your close, which is constantly lagging behind this. And based off of the testimony already given, it's very clear that these orders are stored in separate containers. They ran out of space in the opening, so that implies that there is a closing table. So you're telling me that if this is lagging behind this, then eventually at some point in the future, if the conditions are relatively right, every open order here will be closed here, which means that if you have 1,000 UIDs here, you will eventually have 1,000 UIDs here. So cap, cap. This cap was hit on January 27th, and then forced the hand of what then should have been somewhere very close to forcing the hand of the close hitting its ceiling. But it didn't. You literally are forcing now only orders in closing. And on top of that, the narrative that you spin when you say no more buying on this stock and only selling, you're forcing selling at that point. So now if you have a cap of 1,000 here, and then you have a number over here that is approaching its ceiling, and now you're forcing pressure to this side, you hit the cap here evidently, but didn't hit it here. And despite forcing the hand, you didn't even hit an alarming level that approached your cap on the sell side, on the closing side. How the fuck does that work?
You know what's funny about this is that maybe Vlad actually wasn't lying. Oh,
When did their whole thing go live? When did they start?
Who?
2015. They actually tweeted the outage was not caused by a failure to code for the leap year. We had an instability in our infrastructure. So here, this was during the COVID crash. Robinhood had to make a statement about their service being down for 2 days. So on Tuesday morning, investing app Robinhood experienced its second major outage in 2 days. The first outage lasted from 9:30 until March 2nd to 2 a.m. The two outages were related, Robinhood tells The Verge, and caused instability in part of the company's infrastructure that allows systems to communicate with each other. Robinhood says it didn't lose any customer data information, blah, blah, blah. We now understand the cause of the outage was stress on our infrastructure, which caused a struggle with unprecedented load. That in turn led to a thundering effect, triggering our failure of our DNS system. Multiple factors contributed to the load that ultimately led to the outages. The factors included, among others, highly volatile and historic market conditions, record volume, and record account signups.
That's cute.
So that was a year before the GameStop fiasco.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yo, Dana.
So,
Solid, dude. Can you make a thumbnail real quick? I'm going to be going through the rest of the SEC report and pointing out inconsistencies. I have no
what was
idea.
that?
I have no clue. The usual. Give it your
A
spin.
Gary Gensler?
Yeah, fuck it, yeah. Get Gensler, get Kenny on there. They'll make this clickbait as fuck. For you, YouTube. Because I'm all about the views, baby.
Wait, what's the video going to be about?
Morgan Freeman on it? Yes. It's inconsistencies in the SEC report.
I mean, right off the bat, one of
I have
them
an idea.
being short interest. And the short interest, I think, gets inconsistent in the report itself, not even like comparing the report to what we were seeing in January. Like they themselves, I think, convoluted themselves or whatever.
It also just amazes me, as you were saying about the short interest, it sounds to me like they were using a very myopic metric. If your short interest is strictly according to, think of it as like the institution version of Ortex, right? That doesn't account for deep in the money calls used as a hedging device that ultimately is full of short interest, but provides the same exposure such that it doesn't reflect on your balance sheet because you still have that short position, just not in the same vehicle as what the SEC is looking for. Then by the SEC saying that, oh, this was the short interest according to institutional equivalent of Ortex.
Don't forget too that S3 partners, like mid sneeze in January, changed the whole formula for how they're calculating short interest.
Also very
Did you
interesting.
say mid-sneeze?
Yeah, sneeze. January was a sneeze. It wasn't a squeeze. It was a sneeze.
I love that.
And my understanding is what they changed it to is instead of counting the rehypothecation of every short, if one short seller sells to another short seller and then so on, they only were counting the last person it was shorted to. So if it was shorted 5 times, it wouldn't be, a short interest of 5. It would be a short interest of 1.
Especially with the settlement periods.
Yep.
If you just happen to hear a rumor that the SEC was sampling the current short interest levels at a particular date, then just return those shares or return them by returning another set of borrowed shares, which could be outright synthetic shares. And then during that downtime in between leading up to the SEC pulling that sample size, if there's a T+2 window on reporting your shorts, then continue that shorting 2 days after or 2 days before, such that it wouldn't reflect on the date of them pulling, because you're not due to report until 2 days after they pull that sample.
Right, and that's why Gabe Plockton, under oath, was able to say we've closed our short positions when in reality he hasn't.
Right.
And then he reported, on the month we're actually up 8%, which never made any sense. But then you get to June when they're actually reporting on 13Fs and you see they're down almost 50%.
Right.
Fucking liar.
Right.
I knew that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Can you say that during the trial? You fucking liar.
Do what?
It's called him flat out a liar.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like what we knew back then, we don't know now. So no one knew what the right questions were to ask. It's like, did you close your positions in fact or just in presentation? Because there's a difference.
Great point. And this is where the line uh, realized and unrealized has to be drawn.
Yep.
By having unrealized and realized losses, those are what make or break conditions for a margin call. If your unrealized losses reach a certain threshold versus your realized losses, one of them sets up for a margin call, the other sets up for outright just being liquidated. The first of those, the former of those, you typically have more wiggle room on as a portfolio manager or as a hedge fund manager. The latter, zero. And it's the latter of those, when you get an actual liquidation event that occurs, that's where we're approaching. I would imagine that these squeezes that have happened up until this point have been, what do they call those? Not warning calls. They're
Omens?
no.
What are you trying to describe?
Like when you catch wind that your boss is coming in to check the store. Fuck.
A warning
Like a compliance check?
No, there's a street term for it. But in terms of like, hey, something's being checked out here.
They usually say, "Oh fuck, the boss is coming."
Yeah.
It's like a heads up, but under the rug.
Yeah, and
There's a term for it.
I'm sure they do it. I mean,
Like if the SEC is coming to investigate, there'll be a blank.
it's like a sanity check almost.
Sorta. There's a fucking term for it. I just can't think of it.
I know what you're trying to say, but I can't think either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if there is a word for it, maybe I've heard it, maybe I haven't, but I can't think of it.
Chad, what's
I
the
know
word?
you have.
But to go off your point, it's especially with that comment from Reddit that you retweeted yesterday about how they had a plethora of shorts under 180, and once it was
Courtesy call. I think
yeah, that would make sense.
I think it's a courtesy call. Sorry, go on.
That the days leading up to January 28th, they were shorting
off,
it at
pretty much.
at 350 as a way to keep their unrealized loss on their shorts a net number, where the 350 shorts were actually offsetting the 180 shorts. But what's funny about that is once you get past 350, then not only are you losing on those 180 shorts, now you're compounding your loss by also losing on the 350 shorts.
Yes. Yep.
Which is fucked. Like that is so fucked. And your only lifeline on that position is to do whatever you can to keep it under 350. And what you're going to be doing to keep it under 350 is shorting the shit out of it if it gets anywhere near 340, 330, 320.
Right.
Because you know if it even blows past that, you're going to get instantly margin called.
Right.
Which is fucked up to think about. Because like you were already in a bad situation. You fixed it by shorting at 350. You thought that everyone would go away, but they didn't. So
Right.
now your only option is to continue making the problem even worse.
Yep.
And it is just a powder keg. And the wick has been lit. The problem is no one knows how fucking long the wick is.
Right. Well, they keep adding more and more to the length of it, but
they keep trying to stop it, but it just reignites.
Yeah, it's one of those like those like candles that you can get on your birthday where you like blow them out, but they just like light on fire again.
Right. A tip off. Yeah, that's the term. The more that they pull to create more slack for that wick, that same amount of pulling that force required is also tightening the noose that's around their necks.
Bro, and I on the tip-off thing, like, dude, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with how much money these people fucking have, that they aren't hiring like private investigators to like hide outside like the SEC offices just to see like if they're leaving and going to the airport.
Yeah.
Like you have Dave Lauer, thank you, talking about alternative data sets where hedge funds are literally looking at satellite images of Walmart parking lots to determine if customer sentiment is positive or not. Like,